Nathan, you've had a long time out of boxing since your last fight. Thinking about your decision, you finally made your decision to come back. What was the deciding factors?
Yeah, I've had a long time, since the last fight in August. I've had a bit of time enjoying life for a bit, living a normal life. And bit by bit just deciding what I wanted to do, I weighed up all the options. I had an offer from Eddie and, it was a good offer and I just felt it was the best way forward for my career, with Matchroom and Sky Sports. So we teamed up and let's get it going now, Chapter 2.
Did you ever seriously consider quitting boxing after your last fight?
I did contemplate it, because it was a bit of a sickener, my first career defeat, so it's quite hard for me to take. But it was a matter of just having a break from boxing. So, and after the break, mentally, then you come round, you see your senses, and really, you really see what you want to do. And I wanted to box again. I wanted to give it another go in the cruiserweight division. And here we are. We're going to go for it.
Have you had a chance? Well, you've had a chance, but have you looked back on the Kovalev fight, and what's your sort of opinion and your appraisal of yourself that night?
Yeah, I watched it a few times. It was game plan. Unfortunately, didn't work. I went into that fight with a different game plan to what I usually do. I started behind a high guard. My plan was to block his big power punches, take him to the second half of the fight. Beginning of end of the third round, I threw a sloppy jab. He countered me with a big right hand. And from that shot, it spiraled downwards. So, I messed up a little bit with the game plan. Backfired on me, and I got found out with a big puncher in Kovalev. So, but I'm over it. It was disappointing at the time, but it's time to move on now.
Do you look back at that fight and feel a bit frustrated that perhaps you could have done things differently on the night, and if you were to fight Kovalev again at light heavy or at cruiserweight, that the result would be different?
Yeah, I was frustrated. I watched the fight, and each time I watched the fight, I turn it off, and I'm a bit frustrated with it all because like I said, I threw a sloppy jab end of the third round, and that's what allowed him to break through with the right hand. Up until that point, it was going okay. I was blocking his shots. It was hard, but I was managing. and blocking the shots. And then that sloppy, stupid jab let me down. And the fight turned on its head then from that point. So disappointing, frustrating, gutted, but. Like I said, we just got to use it, learn and move on.
How difficult a decision was it for you to move up to cruiserweight? Because in the past I've seen you for 4 weeks out from a fight, having a big healthy meal, and you seemed pretty comfortable at the weight. But was there other things going on as well, perhaps?
Well, ultimately, like I can always, I can still make light heavyweight. There's no question about that. I can still make 12 stone 7, but there's a difference between making the weight and performing at your best at the weight. And I knew from sparring and the way I was performing in the gym, as soon as I started getting under 13 stone 2, that's when I started feeling weak and drained. My mouth started going dry, my legs started going a bit heavy. And there's no way can you perform at your best then. So in an ideal world, there would be a weight in between light heavyweight and cruiserweight, but there's not. So it's such a big jump, and that's what the fuss is about. It's such a big jump. But if I do it properly, fill into the weight properly, then I think I'd be a successful cruiserweight.
What sort of weight are you sort of expecting to come in around at cruiserweight? Because like you said, it's a massive jump, probably the biggest jump in weight divisions in boxing. So what sort of weight would you be happy with?
Yeah, well, hopefully I can utilise the weight to its maximum benefit, and become 14, and get to 14 stone 4. Without forcing the issue. So that would be ideal, because then I'd be the top end of the cruiserweight. So that's the target. That's what I'm heading for. So hopefully bang on the cruiserweight limit.
Have you any idea who you're going to be boxing yet? I mean, I know Eddie mentioned it at the press conference, but is there a few names in the hat?
To be honest, mate, I haven't really looked at the names. I've just kind of been sorting this out at the moment, making sure I'm ready for May the 17th and the opponents then. Eddie will get an opponent this week, within the next 2 weeks, and we'll just take it from there. But as long as I'm fit and ready, I've got no real issue with that.
Do you look at some of the cruiserweight champions like Hook and Cunningham's another good fighter. He's not a champion now, but do you look at those guys and think, with a couple of fights at cruiserweight, I can beat those guys?
Yeah, I think at the moment I'm just looking at filling the cruiserweight division properly and just seeing how I'm performing in the gym and in the next couple of fights. I obviously see the champions and who they are, and they're all strong guys. They're all full-blown cruisers. You watch them fight; they're all solid, strong. So it's going to take time to build up to that natural strength. But once I do it, if I keep winning now, then hopefully we'll get a crack at that one day.
I'm sure you were sick of being asked about it, but Tony Bellew's mentioned your name again. You're both going to be in the same weight division, same promoter now. Is that a fight that could happen in the near future rather than a couple of years' time?
I think so. I think a couple of fights now, and then it's pretty inevitable that we're going to get it on. Because he'll keep winning his next couple of fights. I'll make sure I win my next couple of fights, and we're going to be on collision course again. So I've got no issue with it. I'm up for it. He's probably up for it. So we're going to get it on.
Would you be happy to fight Tony for a domestic title or European title rather than a world title if there wasn't a vacant title available?
Ideally, it'd be a big title on the line. So unless, if we'd done something dramatic in the meantime and won a world title, but that's unlikely. But who knows? It could be like a world title eliminator. So that's probably the likely situation.
Why do you think Tony Bellew seems to dislike you so much? Because you've always been quite respectful to Tony. You've never really sort of lowered yourself to make personal comments, but he seems to have a real personal dislike against you.
Yeah, it's just a personal thing, because ultimately, he's the type of guy who lives, eats, sleeps, breathes boxing. Obviously, I was a student. I come from a uni. I went to uni, and I still trained very hard, took boxing serious, but I combined it with my studies, and the fact that I went on to become world champion, I beat him once in his hometown. That hurts him. That hurts the guy. That hurts him bad. He takes it personal. I don't think he can handle that fact. He's never got over that first defeat. But you'll probably get another chance, another crack at me one day. But the same result, he's getting spanked again.
After your last fight, there was a lot of talk about you changing trainer, changing camp. What sort of stage are you at with that now? I know you were training with Adam Booth for a while. How did that go?
Yeah, well, I went out to London for about 4 weeks. Stayed there, I trained with Adam. And he's a great trainer, very knowledgeable, great setup there. But it was just the fact that I was based in London. I found it a little bit difficult. Is away from home comforts. Just everything was out of place. I couldn't quite settle. But the training and setup was fantastic. I got to give him that. Really good. I learned a lot. But like I said, I just had to come home, mate. His home comforts back home, and I missed my mother's cooked dinners as well.
So where are you with training-wise now? Who's going to be a trainer for this next fight on the 17th?
Well, I've made a decision. I'm going to be based at home. I've got the gym at home now, so I've started training with Darren Willson, who's been doing a bit of pad work with me. So it looks likely that we're gonna, he's been a good friend. He's been part of the team for a couple of years now. So it looks likely that we're gonna team up.
What sort of strength does Darren bring to the table as a trainer?
Well, he's been in boxing a long time, Darren, and he loves the sport. He's not in it for the money or anything. He has a genuine desire and love for the sport, and that's important. He does it because he wants to. and I like that. You know, I see the enthusiasm in him. He's enthusiastic. His pad work is good with me. So, and I can have an input as well. You know, we work together, and I can have an input. You know, he tells me a few things, I can have an input as well. And I think that's important.
You're also a manager now, Nathan. You're training a young boxer, Aled Cook. Where's Aled now with his career?
Yeah, well, Aled, he's obviously had his first pro fight up and running. So he's been inactive for a while now, but he's been training. He's looking good as well. Real good prospect, Aled. Top class talent. Good hand speed, good movement. You know, looks the part. So he's great potential, but it's just while I've been his manager and sorting out my own situation, it's kind of stalled his career a little bit. So I'm sure we're going to get it sorted now. You know, Aled's ready to fight. He'll be fighting soon. You know, he may stay with Frank Warren and carry on his scholarship there.
Final question, Nathan. What type of performance can the fans expect of you on the 17th of May in Cardiff?
I think the performance. I think the excitement, like I used to have. You know, from bell one, no messing about. Just come out, fast hands, a lot of punches, just exciting. You know, to bring my exciting style back. Nothing like I was in the Kovalev fight. No hesitating and being defence-minded. Back to the way that I used to be and what works best for me. Just letting my hands go and putting on a great show.